Share your screen with your audience. Click this button to share your browser tab. Oh no, I don't need to share my screen. Moderation helps everyone feel safe. Got a positive live chat. I think it's live right now. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I need to do the first one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first live. If you're here or watching it on replay, were we supposed to test this? Well, because yeah. Hello.
I'll go somewhere else and see if
Well, because look, it's got this.
Just start talking. You pretend you're on live, and I'll see if there's any problems. I'll watch it from far away. If there's any problems, I'll come.
Okay. Okay, so doing my first live here. Got a bit of a stubble going on. I usually shave beforehand, but since we're just testing it out, I just thought I wouldn't bother so much. But as it says in the title here, I'm a weight loss coach, hypnotherapist, and personal trainer. So there's a few topics there. I'm happy to answer any questions on, and I'll give you the answer that I think is most relevant from the place I sit in life. And I've been in this industry for almost 20 years, and I have been doing it on myself for longer than that. Yeah. Okay. So I can see there's someone who's joined on the live stream here. Just tell me in the chat if you can hear it well. Can you hear it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I heard you. Perfectly. Fantastic. Well, I suppose this is going to go into the archive of stuff unless we delete it. But this is a good test. It's working well. I haven't really planned anything to say. I just wanted to test this out, but
Tell your story.
Okay, so I was a fat little kid. All right, I love food. I still love food. I'm still obsessed with food. It's one of the big and wonderful joys in my life and in life. And I don't know. It's just my dad was a little bit overweight, but it wasn't crazy. I'm not full of a family of obese people, but I just, for whatever reason, just obsessed and just wanted every lolly and chocolates and chips. And some people say, are you savory or a sweet person? I was both. But I love sweet. I love chips. I love ice cream, and I love all of it. It's just there's nothing that I don't love when it comes to junk food and all the yummy stuff, right? So yeah, and I just spent my whole childhood eating as much as I possibly could, and I hated exercise. Hated it. Couldn't think of anything worse. I tried to get out of sport as often as I could. There was no interest in athletics whatsoever, and I just wanted to play video games and eat junk food. That was essentially my whole life, the loves of my life. Now, so they got me to the point where I was 30 kilos overweight as a 13-year-old, and that it caused me a lot of angst, it caused me a lot of pain, or, just starting to think about, what am I doing with my life? Oh, actually, it was also, to be honest, a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was starting to get some hormones and starting to think about the opposite sex and started to feel very unattractive. I hadn't thought about it that much up until that point, but I felt disgusting. And it made me start to think, look, I really need to do something about this. I really need to, I'm uncomfortable with this. I mean, I wasn't bullied, anything like that, really. Like, it was a couple of comments made here and there, but I just, within myself, I knew, I just, I feel terrible. I feel unattractive, and I feel uncomfortable. I don't want to take my shirt off. So I definitely needed to change. I felt that I needed to change. I wanted to change. So from that point, I tried a few diets, and then my mum ended up taking me to Weight Watchers. She had a few friends who'd done it, and she said she'd heard good things, but she didn't know anything about it either. She didn't know anything about weight loss, and I went there, and you know what? Miraculously, it worked really, really well. Like, yeah, I lost 30 kilos there, and I learned so much that I still use today. It still guides me in many, many ways, and the success that I had at a young age in transforming myself and my body. It just obviously that, yeah, and that's the thing I think I'm more obsessed with and more moved by and motivated by and interested in is the transformation. It's not how much, you know, f- how the physical prowess or the physicality of the whole thing. It's that's obviously good stuff, but it's all just part of transformation. It's part of improving yourself. It's to be one thing and want to be something else, and then putting the right efforts in place, and then you know becoming who you want to be, and improving your circumstances, improving yourself. It's thrilling, really, uh, to be able to do that. It's a form of magic, if there is any, to be able to. So I'd like to be something different, and then and then you do that, you become something different. So I suppose early on, having done that, it was not wasn't something that was like I knew it was hard, but I succeeded really in the first good effort that I gave, and it happened over the course of about a year. But uh, it's funny because that happens at a young age, but then you live a bit longer and you realize it's not always things don't always you don't always doesn't always work out the first time you try. It doesn't always change efforts are hard to maintain. So there was a lot more to learn, obviously, and especially if I wanted to help other people, there was a lot to learn. It's not just okay. Here's the one approach and go for it. People aren't always in the same place in life. They're not ready for change. They haven't got enough pain in their lives. It's not causing enough trouble, because that's how we change, right? It's just something's causing you enough strife in life, and then you want to get away from that. You want to change it. So I'm sort of skipping all over the place here, but the fact is that transformation is what fascinated me, and that's what I realized, obviously, over time, is that transformation is a very psychological thing. It's not just a physical thing. It's more psychological than physical. You try and lose some weight, and it's about changing your whole lifestyle. It's about changing what's important to you. It's about changing the way you think, the way you relate to food, the way you relate to others, the way your self-esteem is changing, your identity is changing, everything is changing as you transform. You can't transform one part of yourself without changing the other parts, and they're scary. Change is scary. So So that's what led me to do these. I mean, you might say, you might read the title and say, "Oh, trainer, hypnotherapist, weight loss coach." It's is that I don't know whether you might think of, well, what's the hypnotherapy? How is that relevant? And you can, as you can probably tell, it's because it's got more to do with how do you change the deeper part of, how do you change your unconscious? How do you change your habitual nature? So embedded in how we are and how we live. And that's what you need to do, really, right? Because it feels like it's the thing. People want to change, but they don't. If you want to, if you say, "Okay, I want to change," and then you don't, what like, do you really want to change? Yeah, of course you do. You do want to change, but we're just such automatons. We just yeah. It's how do you change your automatic behaviors? How do you change the embedded thoughts and feelings and patterns? Yes, yeah. Intention isn't enough. We need to change the conditioning that's built into us. You got to really want to do it. If you really got to put a lot of effort into fighting what your conditioned nature is. If you just, if you don't want to think about it, it's never going to happen. You got to really pay attention if you want things to change. I am just talking into the void here, but I'm writing a book. I'm excited about writing the book. It's all very daunting, trying to put all this into a coherent set of chapters and thoughts and ideas, finding what's relevant.
Can you continue talking about your weight loss?
I'm talking to no one here.
That's fine. We're going to make it into a video.
So what did you say? What did you say? What we're going to talk about? I can't hear you.
You didn't finish the story.
Okay.
You didn't finish the story.
Yeah, I forgot what I was up to. But...
You barely got into you love food, and that's where you stopped.
So, I loved food, still love food, and got real fat, and went to Weight Watchers, lost 30 kilos, kept it off for about 2 years, maybe a year and a half sort of thing. And, with more or less maintaining the same sort of weight, with the same sort of behaviors, just eating less. And then it started to come back on. Well, I started to put the weight back on. So I put the weight back on, and I just thought, look, am I really going to go back there? Am I really going to become this person again? Like it was such a key part of my identity. Really, was that I had lost weight. It was I actually, which I didn't mention, I was actually got on TV for it. I was on Today Tonight for, I was in the Sun Herald and then in Today Tonight, because back then child obesity was only just becoming a thing. It wasn't, all children weren't, these days, right, there's a lot of obese kids. The way I looked back then probably isn't that crazy these days. But back then, I was part of the generation that was the first generation to be, to be becoming obese. Childhood obesity was becoming a concern, and we haven't actually dealt with it. Obviously, it's just now trying to bully everyone into accepting it. But the fact is, it was a problem, and it was seen as a problem, and it's health issues, and and it's a sign of what's to come, really. And what with people who are obese as children, they find it difficult. I mean, really, you like statistically, they're probably going to be obese for the rest of their lives, and that's going to cause them problems and the health system. And so childhood obesity was a thing, and they were looking at, like, how can we how can we address this? How can we talk about a success story? We want to point out that it's a problem, and then we want to give people ideas on how to fix it. So that was in the Sun Herald, or was it the Telegraph? I think it was, anyway, one of them. They contacted Weight Watchers and said, "Oh, do you have a success story?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, we have this kid who lost 30 kilos," and I think I was in the competition for Slimmer of the Year, so I got recognized for that. Um, so yeah, so then they did an interview with me, and then Today Tonight called up. There's when the article came out on the Sunday morning. Both Today Tonight and the Current Affair rang my house, and then Mum chose Today Tonight. And anyway, they came, did an article on me. Everyone saw it at school. Everyone saw, so I was sort of celebrated as this kid who'd lost weight. And yeah, again, that sounds weird in today's culture, to have everyone celebrating someone losing weight instead of just accepting them. But look, it was really important in developing an identity that I had, and this is another little learning piece here, which is like that probably went a long way in triggering me to, at the point at which I started putting back on weight, just be like, no, this cannot happen. I've been celebrated as this person who's lost weight. This is who I am. This is my story. My story is the person who, I lost 30 kilos. I was on TV for it. I was celebrated in the newspaper for it. So if I had to put it back on, how embarrassing, then that whole part of my story just goes away. That isn't who I am anymore, because I lost the weight and then I put it back on. Like, so, also, again, I was concerned with, being attractive and wanting to find a partner, wanting to, connect with the opposite sex. So, you know, putting all the fat back on wasn't going to help that. So, so I started to put the weight back on, and then I thought, all right, this can't happen. So then I started to say, look, is this really going to be, am I really going to just lose weight this time? Because to be honest, I wasn't really that happy with the result. I wasn't, it was like I'd sort of lost weight, but I just kind of went from a big pear to a small pear. I didn't really have any shape. I still felt fat. I still felt like I had, chubby little, had little belly fat is still there. I still had, look, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with the body. So it was better than when I was fat, but looked normal, so to speak, with a shirt on, but wasn't wasn't that good. So so I thought, look, I thought maybe I could build some muscle. Maybe I could get some shape. And so so I thought, look, I've done this before. I figured, I want to change my body. I figure out what to do, and then I go and do it, and then you lose weight, or you get the result, whatever the result is that you want to get. So I thought, look, it's just a matter of learning it. So then I went and back then there was no internet. There was no, sort of, you can just get your phone out and do all that. So and look it up. So I went and bought some magazines. So I went and bought books. I went and bought an Arnold Schwarzenegger book and some muscle and fitness magazines. Talked to my PDH teacher and found out everything I could about how do you do it. How do you put on muscle? What do you do? Talk to some people who were footy, guys, and did weights training and stuff. Even and found out what to do, and then I went and started applying. I started and bought some pieces of equipment, started doing some weights, started doing, and just bought another piece of equipment, and then as I learned new exercises, I bought those things, and I did everything from home, and I still do. I still train at home. I've always, I've never sort of gone to a gym consistently. Just a regular sort of gym. I do kickboxing now, and so I do that, and I've gone to a gym like that for many years. But not, just to get fit. I always worked out from home, and so yeah. So then that led me to, when I finished school, then became a trainer. So I thought, well, because I'd lost, again. It's a key part of my story and who I am, having lost weight. So I thought, well, I can help other people do that. So I went and did a fitness diploma. But then I really wasn't ready to get out in the world yet. I wasn't really ready. I didn't think that I didn't feel quite right telling people what to do and how to do it and how to live their lives. Um, so I did actually a remedial massage diploma. I still do that now. I do a lot of that now, and then that helps with managing injuries, managing your body, because that's the nature of training, and just having a human body is you get injured. You got to manage injuries, because if you're stopping every time you have an injury, you're never going to get you can't be consistent. So you got to learn how to work around it, fix them. So that helps me, and that helps my clients a lot. So then I went and did a remedial massage after the massage diploma. Then I went and did a health degree. That's probably the thing I use the least these days. But then, but anyway, they just gave me some more time to grow up, and um, then I started doing massage and training full time, and I still do that. And but then again, as I'm doing more personal training and doing more working with people, I did a life coaching course or wellness coaching. And I've done, because I was doing all that, skilling up and doing all that, because it's not enough. It's not enough to know how to train. It's not enough to know what to eat. It's not enough because it's not about that. It's like if it was just about a meal plan, a meal and exercise plan, everyone would be doing it. It'd be easy. It's all about how do you integrate it into your life. How do you change old habits? How do you create a new desire? How do you stick with something that's hard? How do you stick with something when it's the last thing you want to do? you know yeah yeah, really, it's how do you stick to something? How do you, through thick and thin? And that's been my fascination ever since. Is how do we get the changes that we want? How do we transform? It's a full person thing, and that's why, it's more unconscious than conscious. It's most change is actually, if you want it to stick, has to have happened at a deep embodied level. It doesn't matter how many. All the time people say, "Oh, I know what I should do." I mean, again, obviously, stop eating junk, start eating more. You know, but then they just don't do it. Yeah, that really is the fascination of my life. Like, it's just what how like, if you'd think that someone wants to do it. If they say they want to do it, and then that's the thing. Part of you does really want to do it, but then part of you doesn't. So it's managing the parts of yourself, and just to get a certain result in life, you're just gonna have to try and make sure that the part that wants that thing is just winning more often than the one that doesn't. But again, how do you do that? You got to mind the foundations of your unconscious mind, because you can know something and never do it. You can want to do something and then just never get around to doing it. Now, if there were a person here, I'd say, "Hey, open up the floor. Talk to me. What do you want to know?" And yet, there is no one here.